Yeah, but so there's still, I mean, it's crazy too because there's still more happening in court. Like, I mean, everything is still active even though we're not hearing about it as much anymore. And the people may be fatigued like we talked about prior to.
Sean Diddy Combs was denied bail for the third time. A federal judge saying that the government had proven by clear and convincing evidence that there were no conditions of release that would ensure the safety of the...
Should Diddy, the once revered music icon now steeped in controversy, is caught in a legal storm that only grows more intense with each passing day. His third failed bid for bail has amplified the scrutiny surrounding his case, leaving many to wonder how such a powerful figure in entertainment now faces the grim reality of a potential life sentence. The allegations are staggering, the evidence continues to pile up, and the stakes have never been higher. What's even more astonishing is the relentless flood of new lawsuits, accusations, and evidence emerging at an unrelenting pace. This saga is far from reaching its final act. Buckle up, the twists are just beginning.
Get another shot with Judge Subramanian? Or what will be his likelihood of success in a different court? Because there's currently a pending appeal at the Second Circuit Court of Appeals. So to get into all of this, I want to bring on former federal prosecutor Nima Rahmani, friend of the show. Nima, thanks so much for coming on. First, before we even get into what he can do next, were you surprised?
The latest bombshell in Shud Diddy's ongoing legal drama came when Judge Arun Superanan denied bail for the third time, marking a significant and crippling setback for his defense team. This wasn't just a routine rejection, it shattered hopes pinned on what the team touted as an airtight bail package. Imagine this: a $50 million bond, a luxury Upper East Side apartment, 24/7 private security, no internet or phone access, and a strictly monitored list of pre-approved visitors. It seemed like a fortress of accountability. Yet, Judge Superanan remained unconvinced. In his detailed 5-page ruling, the judge underscored a disturbing pattern of behavior that made trusting Diddy outside of custody unthinkable. The court finds that the government has shown by clear and convincing evidence that no condition or combination of conditions will reasonably assure the safety of the community, he wrote, and the reasons for this lack of trust are damning. The now infamous 2016 surveillance footage, which CNN brought to light earlier this year, shows Diddy allegedly grabbing, kicking, and dragging his then-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, during a heated altercation. This isn't just an allegation, it's visual proof, a nightmare for his defense team to counter. Judge Superanan cited this footage as undeniable evidence of Diddy's violent tendencies. As if that wasn't enough, chilling text messages Cassie reportedly sent Diddy shortly after the incident further sealed the narrative. One message reads, "I have a black eye and a swollen lip. You're sick for thinking this is okay." Together, the video and texts form a damning picture that even the most skilled attorneys struggle to spin. For Diddy, the walls are closing in, and this story is only getting darker.
Courthouse in Lower Manhattan, the judge ordering the prosecution to turn over its findings from a jail cell raid, Diddy's jail cell, just yesterday. What were the contents of those raids?
Well, apparently, according to the defense, they're legal documents. The government saying no, on the contrary, they're just some handwritten notes and a...
But the trouble doesn't end there. Prosecutors have accused Diddy of continuing to manipulate and intimidate witnesses even from behind bars. Allegedly, he's been using three-way calls, unauthorized messaging apps, and even other inmates' phone accounts to reach key individuals tied to the case. The audacity is staggering. Despite being held in a federal detention center and under investigation for obstruction, he's still allegedly bending the rules. Prosecutors argue that this brazen defiance proves he remains a danger to the community and a flight risk. Judge Superanan agreed, stating in his ruling that Diddy's actions from jail are clear evidence he would pose an even greater risk if released.
That's it. If it is privilege, of course they won't. But if it really is what the prosecution says that has nothing to do with the case, or even worse, it's actually evidence of witness tampering, because we all know the attorney-client privilege, there's a crime fraud exception. You can't use your lawyer to perpetuate a future or continuing fraud or crime. So if the documents are what the government says they are, they're going to get them again. And again, it's just going to be a matter of days, because I don't...
Then there's the glaring issue of trust, or the lack of it. Judge Superanan also criticized Diddy's legal team for misrepresenting facts in court. For instance, they claimed Diddy's legal pads in his jail cell were improperly labeled, when in reality they weren't labeled at all, While this may seem like a small detail, in the high-stakes arena of federal litigation, credibility is paramount. The judge openly questioned whether Diddy's attorneys could be relied upon to enforce the strict conditions of his proposed bail package. Combined with Diddy's alleged pattern of bending the rules, the judge's decision was unequivocal. Bail denied.
They probably didn't see these notes, and they never will.
But if you're Diddy, don't you want your notes back?
Yeah.
If you've spent so many hours gathering evidence for your side or, strategy or whatever, for me, I'd be oh no, please don't destroy, please return.
Since Diddy's arrest, the flood of new allegations has been staggering. His legal troubles seem to have opened the floodgates, with accusers stepping forward one after another. The timeline is dizzying. It all started in November 2023 when Cassie filed her explosive lawsuit accusing Diddy of years of emotional, physical, and psychological abuse. While her claims were shocking enough, what followed was a tidal wave of accusations. Within weeks, multiple women came forward with similar and increasingly harrowing stories.
Surprised with the decision. I'm surprised that Judge Subramanian entertained it. He held a 2-hour hearing, which we were covering live, and he issued a 5-page written order. Most other judges, including the 2 previous judges, to consider this issue, summarily denied the bail motion. I think a lot of it stems from Judge Subramanian being a newer judge. This is a Biden appointee.
One especially disturbing case involves a woman known as Jane Doe, who claims she was coerced into traveling with Diddy and his associates under false pretenses. Her lawsuit details terrifying experiences, including being stranded in unfamiliar locations and forced into powerless situations. Another accuser, Lisa Gardner, alleges she was just a teenager when she first met Diddy at an industry party in the early 90s. Her lawsuit claims he took advantage of her while she was under the influence, leaving her with trauma that has haunted her for decades.
Occur, their argument is more than likely going to be that this activity was consensual, that this person was a willing participant, and not only that, but that these individuals assumed the risk of being present at those parties, of engaging and voluntarily engaging in this conduct and being in those spaces, consuming alcohol and things of that nature.
Then there's Rodney Laura Jones, a former associate of Diddy, who filed his own lawsuit earlier this year. Jones claims he was forced to participate in and witness deeply disturbing activities while working closely with the mogul. His allegations include being pressured to procure individuals for private events and being under constant surveillance by Diddy's team. Jones even asserts he has video evidence to back up his claims, which could be a game changer if his case goes to trial. What's particularly striking is how these lawsuits seem to corroborate each other, weaving a chilling narrative of systemic manipulation, control, and abuse. Prosecutors argue these stories aren't isolated incidents, but part of a long-standing pattern spanning decades. This is where the RICO charges come into play. By framing Diddy's alleged actions as part of a criminal enterprise, prosecutors can link seemingly unrelated events into a cohesive pattern of criminal behavior that becomes difficult to refute.
During another push to free Sean Diddy Combs tonight, with his legal team citing new evidence in an updated bail proposal. The music mogul agreeing to around-the-clock security and cutting out contact with basically anyone but his legal team to get out of jail ahead of his trial scheduled for May of next year for charges he allegedly coerced and abused women for years.
Here's the kicker. All of this is unfolding while Diddy sits in one of the country's most notorious federal detention centers, the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. Former inmates and legal experts have described the facility as *hell on earth* due to overcrowding, understaffing, and rampant allegations of misconduct. It's a stark contrast to the luxury Diddy once enjoyed. His lawyers argue that the dire conditions are hindering his ability to prepare for trial, citing limited access to legal documents and a lack of basic amenities as reasons he should be granted bail. However, Judge Subramanian wasn't convinced. While he acknowledged the challenges of preparing for a complex trial from behind bars, he ultimately ruled that Diddy's behavior justified his continued detention. Intro 9. What's life like for Diddy inside the MDC? Sources close to the case describe a man struggling to adjust to his stark new reality. Gone are the designer suits, private jets, and red carpets. Instead, Diddy spends his days in a cramped cell, enduring the same harsh conditions as every other detainee. Reports suggest he's been placed in a special housing unit isolated from the general population for his safety. Yet even in isolation, his presence has caused a stir among inmates and staff. Some see him as a celebrity finally facing justice, while others view him as a potential target. The conditions at the MDC have been criticized for years. In June, an inmate was reportedly harmed in an altercation, underscoring the facility's ongoing issues with violence, self-harm, and misconduct. These persistent problems raise concerns about the jail's ability to safely house high-profile prisoners. Diddy's legal team has voiced serious concerns about his well-being, but their pleas for improved conditions or release have been ignored. For now, Diddy remains behind bars, awaiting his trial date set for May 2025.
Anybody familiar with the old Houdini? So what Diddy's lawyers are trying to do is pull a Houdini. They're trying to say that the evidence that they have is different. Well, it's not different. The video that the entire world has seen is not going to go away. The fact that he had parties that were freak-offs is not going away. So it's just a question of whether or not Diddy.
What's perhaps most shocking about this entire saga is how quickly it's escalated. In less than a year, Diddy has gone from being a celebrated cultural icon to one of the most scrutinized figures in recent memory. The lawsuits, criminal charges, and leaked evidence are all building toward a trial that could be one of the most significant in modern history. Yet, amid all the drama and speculation, one question stands out above the rest. If these allegations are true, how did it take this long for the truth to come to light? As we move into the next chapter of this unfolding story, we'll dive into the charges against Diddy's son, Christian, and how these new allegations fit into the broader narrative. What does it say about the culture of power and privilege that has long thrived in the entertainment industry? Stay tuned. This story is far from over.
So there's a few things going on. First is the privilege issue. The judge will decide whether the documents are privileged or not. If they're not, they're going to go to the government. If the documents are not only not privileged, but they're evidence of witness tampering, then a few things can happen, all of which are bad for Sean Diddy Combs. First, of course, he did face obstruction of justice charges in a superseding indictment.
As if the storm surrounding Shud Diddy couldn't get any more intense, his son, Christian, has now been pulled into the chaos with allegations that are as shocking as they are disturbing. A recent lawsuit has raised unsettling questions about the environment surrounding the Combs family, leaving the public stunned. Is this simply a case of a young man following in his father's shadow, or is there something darker at play? And how does this tie into the broader narrative of power, privilege, and alleged misconduct that seems to have engulfed the entertainment industry? Let's dive into the details.
It was always going to be a tough argument for the government because obviously Combs voluntarily came to New York. He surrendered his passports through his lawyer. He could have fled after the March raids of his Miami and Los Angeles homes, but he didn't. He has access to 2 private jets. I think it was a tougher argument. I know the government made the argument, but clearly the best argument was the dangerousness and the witness tampering. They had much more.
The allegations against Christian Combs stem from an incident that reportedly took place in late December 2022, according to a lawsuit filed by Gurs Marku, a former crew member on a yacht chartered by Sean Combs. What was intended to be a family-friendly excursion quickly spiraled into something far more disturbing. Marku claims that Christian, who was 25 at the time, became aggressive and inappropriate one particular night. The lawsuit alleges that he pressured her to drink, made her uncomfortable with his behavior, and eventually tried to corner her alone. In a chilling twist, Mark has provided what she says is audio evidence of Christian's actions, recorded during the alleged incident in a makeshift studio on the yacht. In one striking moment captured on the recording, Mark can reportedly be heard asking if the drink she was being encouraged to consume had been tampered with, to which Christian allegedly replied, "Take the shot." What makes this case even more unsettling is the context in which it supposedly unfolded. The yacht, instead of being the wholesome environment it was presented as, is described by Marku as a setting filled with questionable behavior, partying, and a blurred line between professional and personal conduct. In her lawsuit, Marku paints a picture of a young man emboldened by his surroundings and perhaps by the influence of his father, who crossed boundaries in ways that left her shaken and traumatized. She claims that after the incident, she reported Christian's behavior to the yacht captain, only to be met with disbelief and backlash. Marco alleges that the captain retaliated against her in the months that followed, ultimately leading to her termination in May 2023. Christian Combs has denied the allegations, with his legal team calling the claims fabricated and opportunistic. However, the lawsuit does not stop at Christian. It also names Sean Combs as a defendant, accusing him of fostering an environment that enabled such behavior by chartering the yacht and allegedly failing to ensure the safety and professionalism of its operations. The suit even goes as far as to accuse Sean Combs of aiding and abetting his son, claiming he contributed to a culture where boundaries were blurred and inappropriate behavior was normalized.
Separated from the general population, right? He's with, or was with, Sam Bankman-Fried at least, and the irony there is that's someone who was granted bail, tried to tamper with witnesses, so the judge revoked his bail. So that just goes to show how these federal judges feel about witness tampering before trial.
What's particularly striking about this case is how it mirrors broader allegations against Sean Combs in the federal indictment he's currently facing. Prosecutors allege that Sean created an environment where control, manipulation, and inappropriate behavior were not only tolerated but actively orchestrated. The parallels between the accusations against father and son are hard to ignore, raising uncomfortable questions about the influence of power and privilege. Has Christian intentionally or unintentionally adopted behaviors modeled by his father, or is he simply caught in the fallout from Sean's larger legal battles? While Christian's case is still in its early stages, it has already attracted significant media attention, partly due to the high-profile nature of his family. But it also stands out because the allegations against him appear to fit into a larger pattern of behavior that critics say has plagued the entertainment industry for decades. This isn't just a story about one family. It's a story about an entire system that has long allowed powerful individuals to operate with impunity.
Say that again. Say that again. Back up. You're saying that there's tapes and they're being shopped?
Yes, there have been people already shopping.
We've heard about the tapes, but
yes.
The shopping thing is...
Yes, there already have been tapes leaking around Hollywood, being shopped around to individuals in Hollywood. But one particular person contacted me to shop a particular video they were in possession of.
Take, for example, the allegations of misconduct against other high-profile figures in the industry, from executives to artists. There's a troubling history of individuals using their influence to exploit those around them. While progress has been made in holding some accountable, the sheer volume of ongoing accusations indicates that the problem is far from resolved. The entertainment world has long been criticized for its culture of secrecy, excess, and unchecked power, and the Combs family's legal troubles seem to encapsulate all of these issues in one explosive case.
Keep saying to me, like, how did you keep, why did you keep going? Why were you there? I'm like, it literally is around me. If I don't stay at home, this is the atmosphere I'm in. Like, I have no choice.
What's particularly chilling about the allegations against both Sean and Christian is the apparent coordination and planning behind them. Prosecutors in Sean's case have described a complex system designed to maintain control and silence dissent, involving everything from non-disclosure agreements to alleged acts of intimidation. Similarly, Omar K's lawsuit against Christian claims she was not only mistreated but also silenced when she tried to speak up. The captain's alleged retaliation against her highlights how difficult it can be to challenge powerful systems, especially when those systems are backed by immense wealth and influence.
He is very, very dominant. Like, he wants to control the situation. He wants to control his inner circle. He wants to make everyone have a good time and enjoy his parties. And so, it is scary because you think, this person or possibly his social network or the people he's around could make or break your career.
As the legal battles surrounding the Combs family unfold, one thing is becoming increasingly clear. This is not just about the actions of one man or even one family, but about a culture that has allowed these behaviors to persist unchecked for far too long. Whether it's the allegations against Sean, the lawsuit against Christian, or the broader patterns of misconduct in the entertainment industry, the message is the same. Power without accountability is a dangerous thing. Yet, despite the gravity of these allegations, there are still those who defend Sean and Christian, claiming that the accusations are exaggerated or unfounded. Supporters point to their philanthropic efforts, contributions to music and culture, and public personas as proof that these claims don't align with who they truly are. Critics, however, argue that this is exactly the problem. The public images of powerful figures like Sean Combs often serve to mask the darker behaviors that occur behind closed doors.
You say the wrong thing, or you complain, or you know, I don't know. There's an element where you're just, I guess, manipulated in a way to make you feel like, oh, you have to please everyone around you. You can't say anything wrong. You don't want to say a bad thing, or you know, when they're constantly asking you, would you like to do drugs? And you're like, well, I don't do drugs. And they're like, well, why don't you do drugs?
So what's next for Sean? The focus now shifts to preparing for his trial on May 25, a process made even more challenging by his continued detention at the Metropolitan Detention Center. His legal team is undoubtedly working around the clock to counter the mounting evidence against him, but the odds are heavily stacked against them. As for Christian, his legal journey is just beginning, but the implications are already significant. If the allegations against him are proven true, it could not only tarnish his reputation, but also strengthen the narrative that the issues surrounding the Combs family are part of a larger systemic problem rather than isolated incidents. For the entertainment industry as a whole, the stakes are higher than ever. The Combs family's legal troubles have sparked broader conversations about accountability, power dynamics, and the urgent need for systemic change. These cases serve as a stark reminder that no one, no matter how wealthy or influential, is immune from scrutiny. As these legal battles continue, they will undoubtedly captivate the public, not just for their sensational details, but for what they represent, a long overdue reckoning.
Illustrating is this completely out of control party on a super yacht, including various celebrities, that when you read it, it kind of rings true. I mean, when you read it, it doesn't come off as being something that's completely unbelievable. You have to take into consideration.
So, what do you think? Will Diddy ever recover from these allegations, or has his legacy been forever tarnished? And what about Christian? Is he following in his father's footsteps, or is there more to the story? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more updates on this ongoing saga. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next chapter in this unfolding drama. Goodbye.